Hello everyone.
Hello.
Now this Pyranha Ripper is a bit of a bogey boat for us. Whenever we try and do a review, it never seems to come out quite right. So we're paring it back to basics. It's just me and Crossland here having a chat about Piranha's Ripper 2 and the slightly racier Rip-R Evo.
Rip-R Evo.
We've even been joined by the dog today, Buttons. Boy, boy.
Now I've been desperately trying to get Pete to do a video on this boat for quite a while, on this Rip-R Evo. But he's insisted that we kept it for a month and paddled it and really got to grips with it before we told you what we think of it. So here we go.
What do you think of it?
What do I think of it? I'm going to put it out there right now. I love this boat. I think it's great. The biggest question I would have though, Pete, is is this boat right for everyone?
I mean, to put a little bit of backstory into this, so Crossland is, you know, all his life a slalom paddler.
This is true.
I think Joel has probably only been on about 4 rivers in his life.
That is not true, but for the sake of this video we'll go with it.
But in terms of a slalom paddler paddling a plastic riverboat,
yep.
What do you think?
I think this is probably as close to a slalom boat that I've ever paddled in terms of plastic boat.
In a plastic boat. So even the Perception Fox, you prefer to paddle this.
I prefer to paddle this. I've paddled Perception Foxes. I've paddled plastic reflexes in my time. That's showing age now. There's even a C1 called the Slasher that I paddled, and I would far rather paddle the Rip-R Evo. Okay,
so hang on. So quick backtrack. So the Ripper 2 is the both of us think a massive improvement on the original Ripper 1. You've got a better bow, much drier, rides over things a lot easier, a much more comfortable kind of seating position. Really, kind of better position for your knees. A little bit wider in just behind the tail. Not a lot, but just a little bit wider. But there's, it is all party in the back. The Ripper 2 is, if you're looking for a fun river runner, the Pyranha have done a mighty good job. However, with extreme slalom now in the old Olympics, and Pyranha having their roots in slalom, they nicely jumped back on the wagon. And have brought out the Rip-R Evo. So what is different about the Rip-R Evo from the Ripper 2?
So this is a fully pared back race machine, so to speak. So Pyranha have done everything they can to make this hit the 18 kilo weight limit. This boat's been designed to get down a slalom course, artificial slalom course, a section of river as quickly as possible. So you actually have a little less bow rocker than you do in the Ripper 2. So that just gives...
You can see that, yeah.
You can see it. Makes the waterline length that little bit longer.
Are these wave
deflectors?
Are they bigger as well? Are they a little bit more...
They are a little bit
bit more pronounced.
A little bit more pronounced, but that's probably, Pete, because they have narrowed the boat, the whole boat.
Yeah.
Not just the bow, but all the way down into the tail as well.
Yeah.
And also, so what makes your Ripper 2 so comfy, we were talking about earlier, is the amount of volume that you have just around the knees and in front, which keeps that bow nice and dry when you're going down bigger water.
Yeah.
What they've done is they've taken that out, so that's a little bit lower and a little bit narrower.
Get the paddles in a bit more vertical.
Get your paddles in a little more vertical. It doesn't feel like it's getting in your way or anything like that. And for a smaller person like myself, that's what I quite like in a boat.
Yeah.
Now when I put this in the water, first thing I found about it it's got a little bit more little sort of rock and roll on it. It's almost like a little bit more unstable, should I say, that initial stability, which I quite like. I didn't find that disconcerting in any way, but I think if I was out for a full day on a big river, I might want something just a little bit more solid and a bit more planted than this, to be honest.
But to be fair to Pyranha, this boat, you know, they're very honest in their advertising. This boat they've designed for extreme slalom, to get on a river and get down as quick as you can. So it's, you know, they've made a few compromises there, I guess. But
well, I think with your, yeah. So one of the compromises for sure is the outfitting. I mean, that's helped keep the weight down, but these...
I was even just looking at this a minute ago, even the way they've cut the cockpit coaming like right back. So on the Ripper 2, you've got all the, you know, wraps right around to give that cockpit some, you know, loads and loads of rigidity. Whereas in this boat, I'm guessing just to save a bit of weight, they're trimming it right back. Yeah,
so they've saved weight there. They've saved weight with their thigh braces. There's no ratchet straps or anything in here, so you can't get
I've got to say, this boat surely is crying out for an Italian carbon seat. I mean, Pez at P&H. Surely he is in his workshop just crafting some carbon goodness to go in these things.
I mean, yeah, you want to make the, you know, you want to add a bit more growl to this Rip-R. That's what you need to do. You need that carbon seat in it. So, what else we got? We've got this sort of narrower tail feet, and that makes it super controllable. Now, I wouldn't say it's any more slicey than the Ripper 2. So
do you not think?
No, I don't think. I found both of these stood up on end pretty easily.
So in terms of volumes, Ripper 2, this is a medium. So Ripper 2 medium, 235 litres. This is the Rip-R Evo 75. That's 225 litres. There's only one Rip-R Evo at the moment, but I believe there is 65 coming at some point. So I think some people may find that a touch on the small side for river running, to be fair.
Well, this is what? This is a 75.
Yeah.
And I'm 70 kilos.
Yeah.
And I can throw this thing around quite happily.
Yeah.
Personally, anything smaller than this, yeah, I wouldn't want to be taking on any kind of decent water, but that's not what it's designed for. It's designed for flying down a slalom course.
I mean, to be fair, this thing you can come into gates, just a nice kind of like, you know, like you know, just in a slalom boat, like a nice kind of, you know, power kind of sweep stroke, sweep it round under the poles and out you go. Whereas I didn't find I could do that quite so well in the Ripper 2. It could, but it's definitely easier in this thing.
Yeah, but I think it is more unstable on the tail. I'm not gonna lie. But when you're racing, do you want a boat that's going to sit on its tail and you can just hold it on the tail for the rest of the day? Probably not. You want that tail.
You get in and get out.
You want it out of the water again. You want to be hitting it. But I think generally when people put the words Evo or the word Pro,
it's like when you put turbo on a bottle of aftershave. It just makes you want to buy it.
You want to buy it. That's it. And you think because it's got Pro, Evo, Turbo that you're going to be as good as the people who are using it. I mean, Joe Clark better watch out, because now I've got the Rip-R Evo, he's in trouble. It actually probably isn't the case. It comes down to the ability of the paddler. And I think because this is a bit slicier, a little bit more unstable, it could be a handful for a lot of people.
But a lot of fun in a lot of situations.
A hell of a lot of fun. For me, personally, if I was paddling on a man-made slalom course, if I was paddling on the weirs, doing a bit of slalom training, paddling on any sort of smaller rivers and wanting that slalom boat feel, Rip-R Evo without a doubt. But if we were going anywhere with some good solid water, I think I would welcome the extra volume in the bow and the extra width in the tail of the Ripper 2. The
Ripper 2 just feels a bit more balanced to me.
Yeah.
It's as an all-rounder, it works. It works so well. Works so well. And flip them over. Let's look at the hulls quickly. So you've got the kind of similar kind of. We talked about the wave deflectors, but you've got the similar kind of rails on both these boats. But what would you call this rail at the back? Is that what would you call that in like surfing terms? What would the dude from Vulcan kind of call that? I mean, it's.
I think they'd probably call it a clinker, to be honest.
a clinker. A clinker at the back.
But this on the Ripper 2 is quite pronounced compared to the
Rip-R Evo's
the
round. Evo's kind of rounded out.
So it's a little
smoother,
a little more rounded out. Now I don't know what this does. I'm not pretending to be a boat designer. I'll tell you how it feels in the water. I couldn't notice it, to be honest. The boat did what it had to do, and it did it well. And both of them do what they have to do, and they do it well.
I mean, this Rip-R Evo 2 on a wave.
A Rip-R Evo 2?
No, not Ripper. I mean, it's a new one. The Ripper 2 on a wave is good. I mean, it's super lively. Nice high bow, so it stays nice and dry. It'd be interesting to, we haven't really done a lot of playing in this Ripper Evo, but it'd be interesting to, when the weirs get up, be interesting to see what it's like. But at that point, we've rabbited on for 11 minutes here.
Well, there is a question.
Oh, okay.
If you were to have one of these,
yeah,
only one. If you were spending your money,
yeah,
on one of these half slices, one of these Rippers or the Rip-R,
yeah,
which one would you buy? Where would you invest?
It depends where I was going to be paddling it. If all I'm doing is weirs, slalom courses, and white water with not too much consequence, then yeah, I may as well Evo it up. Why not? I know Pyranha are selling a lot of these too, kind of ex-slalom paddlers who not necessarily want to do extreme slalom. They just want a training boat. It's going to get out and have fun on the water, and that's where it works really, really well. Where I would spend my money personally, Ripper 2. If at some point you're going to be on a river in flood, and I just think that slightly wider tail, more volume, more rocker, personally for me would
less consequence,
and it just gives me a bit more confidence to get down things safely.
I think I would probably be in exactly the same place. Although the Rip-R Evo is a quicker boat.
For sure, it's much quicker.
A hell of a lot of fun, and I can throw it around wherever I want, which I quite like in a boat. I didn't feel the Ripper 2 would hold me back at all. I could still put it where I want it, put the tail under, do exactly what I wanted with it, but everything was just a little bit easier in there, and I would rather that and sacrifice a little bit of speed.
Okay, there you go.
That's me.
Rip-R Evo, Ripper 2, chat
complete.
Over and out.
Finished it, mate.
I hope that was useful to somebody.
Somewhere
on the tube, the YouTube.